Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 425.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Who fans, to another episode. We hope you're keeping well and safe. We hope you've had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who
related.
He's in there again.
I feel like you let me win that one. I don't know. You're trying to get on my good side. What's going on?
Well, I was trying to do a little tune in light of the episode we're reviewing this week, doing a little melody, but no.
Yeah, I should have figured that.
You're having none of it.
You should have gone full Whitney on me, mate. You should have gone, you should have put about 100 notes in one word, and I would have got it.
Whitney.
Yeah. Or full Mariah, actually. It's Mariah, isn't it, that does the 100 notes in one word.
Yep. Or Beyonce. Take your pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Yeah.
Depending on your age. Yeah.
For me, if I tried that, mate, it'd sound like we'd lose like thousands of subscribers overnight because it sounded like a cat being murdered in the corner of the room somewhere. Oh, dear.
Same.
Sorry, go on, dude.
No, I said same. Same if it was me.
Same's is. Yeah. Last week was an interesting review. The old story in the engine. Do you know what I did? I went off and watched that one more time. Gave it another watch. And, my score hasn't changed, though, from last week.
I thought you were going to say you loved it. It's like, and I loved it on a third watch. But
no, it's still completely, I was going to say completely bonkers, but it's not. It's just varying degrees of bonkers. In amongst a great story. Yes, it wasn't too bad. And this week, it's an episode that I think is. I won't go into too much detail because we're literally about to review it, but I will say that it was an episode that is the least it's the one that I've been least looking forward to.
I see. Right.
Yes.
Are you pre-warning us? Is there a rant coming?
No. It was just because you and I have got very differing opinions on our enjoyment of Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be hell on earth for me. It's going to be awful. And I think for you, it potentially would have been the opposite. I don't know if you were looking forward to it because it was themed around Eurovision of the future.
Yeah, sort of. I was intrigued by it, I think, more than looking forward to it. I was intrigued to see how this played out, yeah.
Nice. Rightio. Actually, we'll do all the subscribe stuff and all that jazz later on in the episode. We'll dive straight into the review. So, Bud, carrying on with season 2, what are we doing this week?
Okay, so this week it's the Interstellar Song Contest.
Join your hosts, Ryan and Clark, in a celebration of talent from across the universe. Live to an audience of 3 trillion.
What the hell just...
The reaction in the arena is sensational.
No clue, but I like...
We are ready to fly again with...
the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest!
We're so staying.
We're staying.
I love a good show.
At arms.
I will survive. I will find you.
You can still help those people. Can't we call for rescue?
Starts off all happy and bubbly, eh? And then
Takes a nasty turn.
Things go south.
Mate, I had to make sure I got the title right because I've been calling it the Intergalactic Stellar. And, I'm known for getting names of things wrong. So I had to make sure I got this right. Interstellar. I had to keep thinking of Stella. I thought if I just keep thinking of the drink Stella, I'll be good. I got it right. So, yeah.
Your potential tipple of choice.
I actually can't stand Stella.
No, I'm joking. I know you
my
can't,
attention to detail for the listener. There you go.
Yeah. The Intergalactic Song Contest, arguably a better title.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but if you're
who knows?
saying it, I won't disagree.
Yeah. Alrighty. The Interstellar Song Contest was first broadcast just a couple of days ago, 17th of May, Saturday just gone. It was written by Juno Dawson, directed by Ben A. Williams, and stars Ncuti and Verada, and then, as we've seen throughout most of season 2 thus far, about a dozen supporting cast members. And the synopsis is: after two Hellions hijack the control gallery of the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest and eject the audience into space, the Doctor and Belinda must race to stop them from broadcasting a delta wave to 3 trillion viewers.
Yeah.
High stakes stuff. So, mate, I'm so interested in your thoughts on this one, just because of what I mentioned earlier. I don't know if opposites are going to play into account here, but mate, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, mate, as you know, I love a bit of Eurovision. I do like it. So I do think this was a really cool idea, actually, having a, sort of musical Eurovision themed Doctor Who episode on before the Eurovision, sort of leading into it in a way. And obviously Ncuti was supposed to be on Eurovision, but he pulled out the last second and all that. So I do like it when things are planned out like that. You know what I mean? I thought that was a really cool idea. So yeah, love a bit of Eurovision, mate, but I'm sorry to say I did not think much of this episode. It did not deliver for me. There were some good bits. I mean, I was absolutely thrilled to see Susan back again. I mean, how long have me and you been waiting for Carol Ann Ford to be in Doctor Who again? I think we've said it so many times over the years on different podcasts. There's been so many opportunities. For me, the Day of the Doctor, the 50th, would have been, if you'd have had Carol Ann Ford and William Russell in that. God, imagine. But it didn't happen. Here we are, all these years later. She's finally back in a couple of very short little flashbacks, whatever they were. So I'm hoping that's not it, mate. I'm hoping we've not waited all these years just for those little tiny cameos. I am hoping she's going to be in the final and have a bigger role to play. That said, I am worried what Russell might do with the character, because Russell being Russell, he won't just bring her back and let her be. He'll probably regenerate her and put her in a bioregeneration and goodness knows what, and she'll turn out to be the baby that someone picked up at the I could just imagine his brain going into overdrive. So thrilled to see Susan back. Just hoping we see more of her, and hoping they don't do anything too radical with the character, like trying to explain her. We don't need to know anymore. You know what I mean? We don't need any of that. The Rani reveal, mate, fantastic. But you can probably tell I'm trying to start with positives, mate. So as I said, didn't really think this was a particularly good episode. So I am trying not to be negative again this week. So the Rani reveal was great. I kind of saw it coming in terms of it being Mrs. Flood being the Rani, but what I didn't expect was for her to bioregenerate into a new kick-ass Rani, who I'm really looking forward to seeing in the final. The actress, I think Archie
Punjabi. Yep.
Punjabi. I don't know her. A lot of people seem to know her. I sort of feel like I recognise her, but I don't know her particularly as an actress. But, mate, she had screen presence, and she instantly made me think, yes, you seem like the Rani. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. I did think it was very strange that they put this big reveal as a mid-credit scene after all this build-up. I was sat there like, what the heck? So, some stuff I did like, okay? Some really good little moments. Some interesting ideas this week. But as an episode overall, it's probably my least favourite of the series. Didn't hate it, just didn't really click with it. And I was hoping I would be in someone who likes Eurovision. And I am just going to quickly mention this, but I know we will dive into it. Like a lot of people, I really did not like the torture scene at the end. And I think you could probably tell I was going to say that, even though we don't discuss our feelings on the episodes before we record. I really didn't like it, mate. It left a really bad taste in my mouth. I thought it was nasty. Just pure nasty. And people will say, oh yeah, the Doctor's done this before, the Doctor's done that. Yes, he has gone dark before, but the episodes have built up to that. And also I just didn't like the way that after he did that, and I found it really uncomfortable to watch, I'm not going to lie. They were obviously going for a Arachnos moment where Donna says, you can stop now. I absolutely get what they were going for, but it did not work for me. It just come across as sadistic. So to have Belinda walk up to him at the end and hug him and say, oh, you're wonderful after doing that, just did not. It really, really killed the episode stone dead for me, mate. Thank goodness for the Rani reveal afterwards, because that brought me straight back up again. But yeah, just needed to get off my chest, because I'm telling you, mate, it really, really stuck with me after the episode. It really left a sour taste in my mouth. I was like, I did not like seeing the Doctor like that, But anyway, yeah, I'm going to try not to be too down on this episode, but I am going to tell you, it wasn't the best for me. It was very, very mixed, as it has been this season, I think. Yeah. Over to you, bud. What do you reckon?
Wow.
Sorry, a lot to. I threw a lot at you there.
No, that's cool, dude. Yeah. And do you know what? I had a feeling in the back of my mind that you and I would cross over on this one and be on opposites. I just had a feeling in my head that even though this was an episode based around Eurovision, something was going to happen in it, or a collection of things that were going to turn you off, and I was going to be the one that liked the episode.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a fan of Eurovision in real life. But mate, this one landed with me big time.
Did it? I like that. I mean, that's cool. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this episode. In fact, I think this is my fave Shooty episode.
Really? Oh God, I couldn't stand him in it, mate. This is so. I don't think we've ever had an episode that you've loved that I've really disliked, have we?
No. Do you know what, mate? Oh. I am at real odds with fandom on this one. I am out on the peripheral limb, the precipice of being booted out of Doctor Who fandom, I think.
No, I think this is great, because it will be at least there'll be some positivity on the podcast this week, because the last thing I want to do is come on here and moan every week, and we've had listeners give us feedback, quite rightly, saying you're being negative, blah blah. But we will always give our honest opinion, mate. So it's nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So at least the listeners will get to hear somebody being positive about it.
That's true. Yeah, but do you know what, mate? I really, really enjoyed. I think there were just so many elements that worked for me. I really liked the overall setup of this. It is a bit corny, the whole Eurovision thing set in space, and and all that stuff. I get that from that perspective, but I thought the performances were really good from everybody. Like the two, the gay couple, Garry and Mike.
Oh,
I thought they were really good together. I thought, like I said, Shooty, I thought he was really good. I thought the two Hellions, Kid and What's Her Chops, I thought they were really good.
Yes, I will agree with that. I did think, what's his name, this guy? Because again, when he was announced, a lot of people knew who he was, and I was like, never heard of him.
Oh, Freddie Fox.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Because he goes on a bit of, there's one of them's undercover, isn't it? I think it's Wynn is the other one. Her name's Wynn.
Yeah.
Played by Owen Anderson. I thought those two were really good. And I thought Mrs. Flood was good in this. I thought it was really good to see a different side of her, because up to now we've seen this sort of very cute, sort of older woman, but with a bit of a sinister side to her. Whereas in this, because of the bi-generation, we've got this new Rani, who's a lot more, as you said, a bit badass and a bit more firm. She plays it a little bit sheepish in the end.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see that side of her. And I also really liked Cora. I think it's Cora, the woman from Hellion who was in the contest, but she sort of cut her horns off, so people wouldn't recognise her. I thought she was really good. And to be honest with you, mate, the only person who I wasn't really drawn to, who didn't set the world on fire for me, was Belinda in this one.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was a little bit, just a bit flat, if I'm being honest. But But do you know what, mate? Other than that, and do you know what? I really liked the scene where the Doctor lost it.
Oh.
And started going off on one on Kid.
Oh no.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, I feel like I feel like fandom's gonna have a word with me on the socials. I think for this one, but I can't be dishonest and just say to everybody, it's whatever. Like you said, mate, we're always honest and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, Carol Ann Ford back is amazing, and she looks amazing, and it's a long overdue. So. And I think we will see her back, mate. I honestly don't think she's back just for a 10-second cameo.
I hope not, mate.
Yeah.
And what's promising is, and a lot of people are pointing this out, that on Doctor Who Unleashed, which I don't watch, she is wearing a different outfit, and it's not just like a casual... I don't think it's the sort of thing she wears, when she goes out shopping. It looks like a Doctor Who outfit. So that looks promising because we haven't seen that outfit on screen. So that would suggest... it's not a definite. It might be. Maybe she's got something funky from CNA. But it does look like she is going to return, and I really hope so, mate. I'm very intrigued to see that. There's so many wild rumours flying around at the minute. I mean, we've got 2 episodes left, and I'm hearing like Jodie's coming back as the 13th Doctor. The Master's going to be in it. He's the 3rd Pantheon God. What else? Jo Martin's coming back. Because she did a little cameo. Susan's going to be in it. I'm thinking. Wow, if even half of the stuff that's floating around is true, this final is going to be jam-packed. It's going to be everything in the kitchen sink. So it does feel like Russell's definitely putting some stuff in there. I just hope the payoff is good, as I keep saying. That's the thing that worries me. But there is some good stuff being set up. Let's put it that way. It feels like, yeah. Yeah,
defo. Yeah, and also like Nina as well, the manager of the broadcast.
Yes, I liked her. Yeah, I was going to say for me, mate, I liked her, and I liked Freddie Fox as Kid. I liked the lady at the end that sang the song who chopped her horns off. I thought she was quite good, and that was a nice moment. I can't agree with you about the 2 guys. I didn't think they were very convincing as a couple, to be honest. I thought they were a bit flat.
Oh, do you know what, actually, mate? In terms of having your gaydar turned on, I can't say that I was 100% convinced.
No,
but, they were. But however, I did appreciate the little bants between the 2 of them, and the little what's the way to describe it would be like, with some couples you have those moments where not everything's wine and roses. Mm-hmm. Not everything is love hearts swinging around your head and all that. You have those little moments where you sort of nick at each other and you have these little moments. So it was really cool when Gary's obviously a massive fan of the song contest and everything, and Mike's just like whatever sort of thing.
Yeah.
And do you know what it reminded me of? One of our listeners, and he's a good friend of the podcast, Joe, who our writers Maria and Jordan meet up with him a lot at events and so on. We were with him a lot at the Capital event recently. Yeah. Really nice guy. And he was telling me a couple of stories about his partner who's not quite into Doctor Who. He's like obviously a huge fan, like mega fan. And he was saying that there are times where he's watching the show and it's not like the best episode, especially for casual viewers and stuff. And looks at his partner and he just sort of rolls his eyes. He's like, well, this is your show sort of thing. This is your thing. It reminded me of that with these 2, where Mike's looking at Gary like, this is your thing. I'm just here with, just towing along sort of thing. So I really liked the little to-in and throw-in and bants between them that highlighted that, not every couple is like, happy and perfect all the time. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's definitely something I can relate to. As I think about when I drag my other half around, a Forbidden Planet or a Doctor Who convention or whatever. Yeah. It's always that look of, oh God, how much longer we're going to be, or I'm only here for you, sort of thing. Talking to partners, actually, mate. this is another reason I was looking forward to this, because me and my other half, we do like Eurovision. We always, every year we sit down together to watch it, and
bottle of wine, I'm sure.
Bottle of wine, yeah. Absolutely. And we've been to, sometimes friends when we've been in the UK have had Eurovision parties that we've gone to, so we get into it. And I was thinking, how cool, we'll have Doctor Who and Eurovision. I was really looking forward to Saturday actually, and so I said, right, let's get Doctor Who on, and then we can watch Eurovision later. Popped the wine, and I'm not joking, mate. 10 minutes in, I thought he's quiet, and I looked to my right because he sat next to me, and head back, mouth's open, he's fast asleep. I was like, oh my god! I didn't even notice it could. I don't think it was necessarily the episode himself. It may have been the wine, but he was gone within 10 minutes, mate. And I'm not joking. It was like mouth open, completely gone,
mouth breathing.
I was like, oh, what? So I was a little bit disappointed. I had to kind of watch it. I gave him a nudge, but then he just went to bed. He's like, oh, I'll go have a nap. I'm like, oh, God's sake. So I ended up watching on my own.
Oh.
Yeah, so didn't grab him.
Tapped out. Yeah.
This episode.
Didn't grab him this one.
Out. No. I don't think he really gave it a chance though, mate, because he was gone within like the first 5-10 minutes. So, yeah, may get him to rewatch it.
Yeah. In contrast to last week, though, I think, bar a couple of little scenes, this was pretty cool for casual viewers.
Yeah.
You didn't need to understand a huge amount, because there was even the scene that you referenced earlier that you found quite uncomfortable when the doctor's torturing kid. Even that was kind of explained, wasn't it, when the doctor tells Belinda later that we'll get onto this in a minute.
He got triggered, didn't he? He said he was triggered.
He was triggered, yeah. So let's speak about that scene. Actually, might as well get it out of the way. So
yeah, let's get it out of the way.
That's why I quite like that scene so much, because we always this is my opinion, by the way. We always expect the doctor to act a certain way, and we have preconceived sort of expectations almost about what the doctor shouldn't do, should do, what he should say and shouldn't say. And it's almost like as the viewer, we've kind of invented these set of invisible rules, I think, to say, right, okay, in every episode of every Doctor we've ever watched, they're not allowed to do this and they're not allowed to do that and blah, blah, blah. And I think in this situation, in this scenario, I could totally believe what the Doctor was feeling at that time, which I think is why I was drawn to Ncuti a lot in this episode, because you could see the realization in his face when he comes to the conclusion that the delta wave device that they're about to initiate is going to wipe out an entire, the 3 trillion people, I think it was. And when you couple that with the fact that what's happened in recent history on Helia, where all of those people have been through it a lot, they have a bit of history with that planet where it's been basically just ravaged for the hell poppy fields, and they've been burnt, and the planet's been ravaged. So the Doctor feels, like you said, he's been triggered because it's all linking back to essentially every single person on Gallifrey being obliterated.
Yeah,
which second.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing, mate. But that's why Kid is doing what he's doing, isn't it? It's kind of a revenge thing. But shouldn't the Doctor be saying, have a bit of sympathy for not the cause, but 2 wrongs don't make a right? For him to just do what he did, I don't know. I found it uncomfortable. I think it could have landed for me in the same way that the other times the Doctor's gone dark, like with the Arachnos spider and Family of Blood and all that. If Belinda, who you quite rightly said was so bland in this episode, in fact she was irritating when she was all about me, how am I going to get home, blah blah. I think it would have absolutely needed, and it would have given her a great scene if she had gone in and said to the Doctor, flipping heck, mate, I've been travelling you for the last few weeks and I did not like what I just saw. That was not right. This guy, yes, he may have done this, but, she needed to lay into the Doctor. He needed to say, I hear you, but this is why I did it. And, you know, some sort of reprimand, but to go up and say, oh, you're wonderful. You know, I mean, if I saw you electrocuting someone over and over again, mate, I would have to say something eventually. I don't think I could buy you a beer.
Depends who it was.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. You know, well, I don't know. Having said that, there are a couple of people I wouldn't mind seeing you electrocute. Now you mention it, actually. Yeah, okay. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I'm not trying to. I absolutely. Yeah. Take your opinion on board, mate. And I think it is quite cool when the Doctor does show a different side every now and again. But yeah, personally, I didn't like it. But you know,
I read you. Yeah,
but I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I saw pretty much the majority of fandom all saying similar things, which is why I was like, oh God, you know. But I'm sticking to my guns on this. I think it was
absolutely, yeah.
I think it was the shake up and the sort of kick up the bum that the Doctor as the character in this season needed, and as the season needed, because otherwise, if we didn't have this, most of fandom would just be complaining once again that the Doctor's just had a cry.
Yeah, true. But also, I think it would have landed more as well if. I think this is the thing, when the Doctor's dishing out this sort of punishment, it can work, mate. And I have said before, I like it when Doctor's dark, but it has to feel justified to me. You know, it has to be. I know Kid was going to kill all those people, but I don't know. It to me, it just needed a bit of a rewrite to make that scene work in the way that I think it was intended. That's kind of how I'd put it.
Yeah. The other thing with that scene, before we move on, is I don't really feel like the Doctor was doing anything that bad either. If you think about it, it's not like, you know, after he sent a few volts through this kid and gave him a couple of slaps. You know, there isn't like, you know, smoke coming off of him, you know, and his skin falling off, and you know, and he's like close to death. The Doctor's just good old fashioned giving him a few backhanders to teach him a lesson. So coming from growing up in the 80s and having, you know, hard parents like that, I was kind of relating. I'm like, yeah. So you give him a couple more. You give him a couple. Really? So yeah, although he was electrocuting him, and the Doctor was, you know, had a pretty stern face on him. Didn't look too good. I get what you're saying. I can see why people would find it uncomfortable, but yeah, I don't feel like, because at the end of it, they just picked him up and he walked out and he's fine. You know, this it's not like he's, you know, skinned him alive or cut his arm off. Or
I was going to say, he didn't even get one of those nice armbands that Comrade got. You know,
exactly.
Did he? Yeah. So yeah,
he just gave him a few shots, a few volts, and then that's it. He's up and walking off like nothing's happened. So didn't really do anything that bad, did he?
I disagree, mate. I really didn't like it. I'm not gonna, like you. Absolutely, you stick to your guns, and I'll do the same. I didn't like it because when I finished watching it, I actually was thinking in my head, if I had a kid, I wouldn't let them watch that. Not because it was horrible, it was horrible, but not because it was like really grotesque, like you said. There was no flesh being burnt off, but because I wouldn't want my kid to see the Doctor acting like that. You know, that's how it affected me. I think that's why I'm more down on it than you. I was just thinking, I am all for the Doctor going a bit down that route, but I just, it didn't sit right with me, to that extent anyway. But I hear what you're saying, and just to sort of wrap this up a bit, because we don't want to dwell too much on it. There's plenty of talk out there about it, but a lot of people are saying this is leading into Ncuti being the Valeyard. Now, if this is going somewhere and it isn't just the Doctor having, you know, a mad 5 minutes, if it is actually part of some arc, I may reevaluate the scene, mate. I may go back and say, oh, well, yeah, that was when the Doctor said he had ice in his heart and he really snapped, and that's led him into going into whatever. So, you know, I'm kind of hoping there is more to it than just him getting a bit annoyed and thinking he'd take out on someone, if you know what I mean.
Don't know about. I don't know. The Valeyard.
I think people just keep every year the Valeyard's mentioned. I think it's. I doubt it. I think it'll just be, you know, part of that story. But we'll see. It might go. It might lead somewhere.
True. Yeah. You never know these days.
Anything could happen at the minute.
Yeah. Talking of old characters, mate. Just very quickly, with Mrs. Flood being the Rani.
Yeah.
That was cool, wasn't it? Very cool. But also, like really obvious as well. I remember ages ago when what was her first appearance? Was it the Christmas special?
The Church on Ruby Road, when she was Ruby's neighbour.
That's it.
And she said, "Don't you know what a TARDIS is?" Remember?
Yeah, didn't you and I? We threw it in there as an option, and loads of fandom was saying it could be the Rani, but then we dismissed it, didn't we? Quite quickly, saying that's too obvious. Like, it's of course it could be. It's either the Master / Missy back, or it's the Rani. And we were just like, nah, I can't, that's just too obvious. So what were your thoughts on the Rani being back?
It does seem obvious, but I think that's because every time we get somebody like this character that's a mystery, we instantly assume it's the Rani, because the Master's been kind of done to death, really, and obviously the Missy thing. So it was obvious, but it still didn't bother me. I was kind of in a way like, oh, at last, like we've got the Rani back, because it is a character that I love. I'm famously on record as saying I thoroughly enjoy time in the Rani. I think Kate O'Mara's fantastic in it. I think the Rani's a great character. So, yeah, it was obvious. What wasn't obvious was I didn't see the bi-regeneration coming. That threw me completely. I'm like, what? Same. Is this just a thing now? What's the bi-regeneration about? I think that's Russell just not being able to... He doesn't want to get rid of Anita Dobson. And who can blame him? I don't want him to get rid of Anita Dobson either. I'm really happy that she's going to be part of this setup. So although I'm not a fan of the bi-regeneration, if it means keeping Anita Dobson in it, Mrs. Flood in it, then I can absolutely live with it. Because I think it could be a fun sort of double team, those two. So you got Mrs. Flood / the Rani and the Rani, who seem very different characters, as we saw, didn't we? She's sort of almost submissive to, almost scared of her new incarnation. So that could lead to some fun moments, I think. I was happy with it, mate. I was really pleased that the Rani is finally, after all these years, back. It makes such a change from like the Master. If it had been like another Missy or Master, that would have been so boring.
True. Yeah. And exactly the same as you, mate. Wasn't overly surprised that it turned out to be the Rani, even though we dismissed it fairly early on. But more another bi-generation. Who'd have thought it, mate? This once in a millennia event that they kind of made it out to be, this very rare thing happens very close to the other bi-generation that we had recently. So, yeah, it's all the rules of Doctor Who are fast becoming forever changing in a short space of time. It's back in the day when you and I first started the podcast and we reviewed all of like Classic Who and all the rest of it, we'd never have said any of this stuff would ever happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like just a Doctor having a standard regeneration and a standard finale and all this malarkey, and now it's all over the place.
I guess you got to change it up a bit. I mean, as I said, I'm not a fan of bi-regeneration, but yeah, you're right. You can't. The show's got to evolve and change. I absolutely accept that. Do you know the actress?
Moving.
Gotta keep moving. Do you know the actress, mate? Is this someone that's been on your radar? I feel like she's been in stuff, and I just feel like I don't know who she is. But a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, she's fantastic. She's going to be great." So, are you aware of her in other stuff? Have you seen her in anything?
I've seen her in a few things.
Oh, right.
She was what was she in? Something that I watched a while ago. What was it? This was quite a while ago. Oh, Life on Mars. She's in a couple of episodes of that.
Is she in that?
I recognise her from that. And she's also, she was, she's had kind of, she's done a couple of long-standing things back in the day, but she's more known for sort of turning up and being in like a few episodes of something.
Right.
And she's done a bit of film work as well. She was, she's been in a few films. So I knew her face as soon as I saw her. I recognised her face, and I remember seeing her from a few things on TV over the years. But I don't think you'd see her and think, oh, she's starred in something. You'd look at her and think, oh, I've seen her a few times in something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I really liked Life on Mars, actually. I have to. I haven't watched that for years, but it was a great series, wasn't it? So she's in that, is she? Okay, it's interesting.
Yeah, she's in it for a little while. Yeah. But no, she was very, very commanding. Straight out the gate, she had a very good presence about her. and really commanding. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what this Rani brings to the table.
Yeah, and the BBC just released a publicity pic of her in her Rani outfit, because obviously when they buy Regenerate, they have half of each other's clothes. So what is going on? But the Rani outfit they've given her, it's a real cool, it's very similar to what Kate Amara wore, but they've kind of modernised it, but not too much. And I thought, I've seen her for like 10 seconds on screen, but she really does have, I don't know, maybe I should wait till next week, but I feel like she has something about her that I absolutely can buy into it, that she's going to be a cool Rani. So I shouldn't say things like that, because the next week I'll probably be saying, she was rubbish. But no, I get a good feeling about her, mate, that she's going to be good. Yeah, she just has that presence and authority, and that's absolutely what the Rani is. So yeah, looking forward to seeing more of her.
Yeah, the legendary character that is the Rani.
Kate O'Mara, man. Yeah. Wish I'd met her.
Do you know what? I don't mind Time in the Rani. I really don't mind it.
People are coming around to it. I see people saying that all the time, and I'm like, told ya. It's terrible, but it's fun.
I tweeted out last week that the soundtrack's really, I love the soundtrack to that.
It's so funny. Actually, it's on I have it on my phone. I downloaded it, and sometimes I put the songs on shuffle. I'll be sort of out and about doing my thing, shopping, whatever, and it will just randomly play a track from Time in the Rani, and it always cracks me up, because it always seems to select the B Sting track. And I find myself walking around Tom Thumb or the supermarket listening. Oh gosh. Yeah. But it is a great soundtrack. I love it.
Yeah. Kev McCulloch.
Yes.
Very
classic.
Cool. Classic. Right. Unless you got any other thoughts on Mrs. Flood / the Rani. Just want to speak about the story just quickly then. Not so much it being centered around sort of futuristic Eurovision, but this concept of all these people being jettisoned up into space, but conveniently being wrapped in this big bubble for a little while. Frozen.
A Mavity bubble, mate.
A Mavity bubble, indeed.
Mavity shield, sorry, yeah.
That's stayed with us, hasn't it? The old Mavity thing.
It certainly has.
And I thought that was really cool, man. I thought that was quite a shocking visual effect as well. When you saw those thousands of people just being sort of sucked up out of the arena up into space. And because at that point, you didn't know that there was this Mavity well around the thing. You just thought they were being blasted off into space to be killed. So you were witnessing the massacre of like 10,000 odd people.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite a shock. It was great, reasonably realistic effect. I thought it was very cool. But and then the Doctor, floating up, that was a really cool effect when you just see his back arched over like that and he's just floating in space. They used that as a publicity shot, I think, for this episode. And he starts to freeze, and that's where he gets the vision, doesn't he, of Susan, and use the confetti cannon. So camp. I think they even say it in the episode, don't they?
That's ridiculous.
Do you know what, though? It was really funny. This episode was really funny, mate, in a lot of moments, which I think is why I was drawn to it a lot, because it had some shocking moments coupled with some quite comedic moments. So when the Doctor does use the confetti cannon, comes blasting in, it gets saved by Mike. First thing he does is he stands up and he points and he just passes out.
Yeah.
He just collapses and stuff. And it was sort of comedically timed really well. But so what do you think to the story then? I know it's a sabotage story and revenge story, but the fact that all these lives are on the line, both in the vicinity but also watching at home, and this delta wave threat and everything, did you think it was a good suspenseful kind of will it happen, won't it happen sort of thing?
I'll be honest, I didn't, because I thought, the actual storyline's okay. There's a bit of politics in there, which I think gets a bit muddled, the whole Poppy honey thing. But I don't know. I didn't really feel the stakes, mate. I absolutely agree with you that visually when everyone was killed, I did at first think, OMG, like that's dark. Like all those people just floating in space dead. That visually, it was horribly beautiful, if you know what I mean. It looked great on screen, but it was a horrible vision, to see all that. So yes, in that sense, but I kind of, as soon as they mentioned Mavi Bubble and everyone's saved, I just knew, you just know the Doctor's going to stop him. So I didn't really feel much threat. Although Kid, Freddie Fox I thought gave a very intense performance. I believed in him as this sort of kind of deranged, nut job that's going to put this sound wave out. So yeah, it was okay, the storyline. I mean, it's quite sort of simple in a way. The one thing I didn't get was Belinda just sort of got caught on the roof, but I mean, like, everyone else got sort of blown out. I don't know, just like, I did actually turn and speak to myself and say, seriously? Because my partner had obviously left at this point. I was like, seriously? Just what? She just got caught on the top of the roof? Surely she'd have been sucked out as well. So a silly little thing to get caught up on, I guess. But the cannon, mate, the glitter cannon, or whatever, did you not get flashbacks to Princess Leia in whatever that terrible Star Wars film was, where she floats across? But did you not? Because I instantly thought of Princess Leia floating. Is it the Last Jedi? Yeah, where she gets thrown out into space and suddenly uses the Force to shoot across the sky. I don't know. It just reminded me of that, and I thought it was a little bit ridiculous, but it's fun. Maybe I need to lighten up a bit.
I think, freezing in space and using the Force versus a confetti cannon.
It was just the visuals, I think, as he shoot you float across.
Two very different things, but yeah, mate. There was some similarities there.
I don't know. It just made me think of that, and I thought, you being a Star Wars nut, I thought maybe you would.
I think the parallel is more to do with how they came back from the brink of death, from some kind of other force. In this case, it's his vision of Susan. Now, does that mean that he's hallucinating because he's close to death? Well, I don't mean close to regeneration. I mean close to death. Does that mean, he's kind of... Because they do say, don't they, that people who are moments away from death, in those sort of hours and potentially days leading up to when they die, they do start to hallucinate and see people from that they've known throughout their life and stuff.
Yeah.
So was it that kind of thing, or is it actually Susan? We're guessing it is. We're guessing, hoping that she's going to be in the finale, of course. But it was that kind of unfroze him, and then enabled him to hold his breath for a bit and grab the cannon and do that stuff. So I think the parallel is more not the device or the thing used to save themselves, but the fact that they were close to death and suddenly, miraculously, it's almost as if the writer needed a way for them to carry on the story with the character. And they they need to have this other, not a human experience, but this almost superhero moment where they bring them back into the story. So that was more but I know exactly what you mean, though. The parallels are there in some respect.
I did gasp when I saw Susan. I managed to stay off social media because Russell put out one of his videos, didn't he, the day before, saying, make sure you don't look at the socials because there's lots of spoilers this week. So I thought, right, okay, I'll be good this week. So it was quite nice, actually. Both Susan and the Rani were both, they weren't spoiled for me this week. I was good. I did keep off socials. So it was a great moment, I have to say, because, seeing the Doctor starting to freeze over and die and all the ice in his heart stuff, which is quite a nice metaphor, I think, in his hearts, I should say. And then Susan appearing, it did get me. I was like, oh my God, they've done it. Even though they've dropped hints in Shooter's first season, we thought she was coming back, didn't we, in the finale, but she didn't. To actually see her on screen again, it was a really cool surprise. I was like, oh yes, at last, they've done it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was spoilt with the Rani thing.
Oh, were you? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for spoilers or anything. I wasn't even on my Big Blue Box account on Instagram. I was on my own personal one, just scrolling through, and I just happened to see it was an official post by the BBC.
Oh, right.
The official BBC Instagram account that just said, like, literally, they didn't even put it at the bottom of the description of the all I saw was the image of Archie Punjabi, and literally the first few words, introducing the Rani. You know,
oh, right.
blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's a shame.
So I was like, oh, no. But I wasn't spoilt with Susan, though. That was a complete surprise and a real sort of fist pump and, just, thumbs up and punch in the air. That was such a cool moment. In fact, I rewound it. As soon as I saw that, I said out loud to myself, bloody hell, it's Susan. And I rewound it and watched that bit, a few times. And so good to see her, mate.
Did you have a moment where you saw your other half after watching the episode and you said, oh my God, Susan and the Rani are back? And they gave you a look of, what? Who?
I didn't even
because I did,
mate.
and I suddenly realised, oh yeah, they're not going to mean anything to you, are they? But I was quite excited and wanted to sort of tell someone.
Yeah, no, exactly that. I didn't even say it.
No, Nat would have been like, what?
Yeah, straight over. Yeah. So that was really cool, mate, to see Susan. And like we've said, I really hope she's in the finale. I hope they make more of her character coming back.
Yeah.
And more so to find out where she's been, what she's been up to.
What's she been doing? Where's that fella she went off and married? I can't remember his name. Is it Michael or something? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, so that was really cool. And okay, so we've spoken about the majority of the peeps. Just to finish up with Shooty, mate, just quickly. I know you were uncomfortable with that scene. But in reference to the rest of the story, was it anything that you thought was cool from him, or was it just a fairly meh again from him for you?
I'm pausing a little bit because I feel like that ending's overshadowed him. Maybe I'm being a bit blind because I don't think he was bad in the episode at all, but I didn't like him in it. But I feel like I'm just focusing on the ending, mate, if I'm honest. I'm probably being a bit unfair to him. He probably was good in it.
That's cool, mate.
But
if that's stuck with you.
Yeah. No, it has. I think that's the problem because I was thinking, I didn't like the Doctor in this episode, but I think it is just the ending I didn't like. I guess the rest of it, like you said about the fun moment where he, faints after coming back from space, and there was some stuff where he's doing all the technical stuff and taking charge and stuff. So I think maybe I'm being a little unfair on Shooty. Maybe he was, pretty good in this episode. I just need to get over the ending. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but if that stuck with you, then that's a thing. Then I just had throughout this entire episode, mate, I had vibes of 2005, 2006 Doctor Who. That's how I was feeling.
That's cool.
When I was watching it, because there's there was a couple of episodes with Eccleston where he's like shouting orders at Rose and they're going through it, and he's like dragging cables around and he's fixing things, and it just felt like that. When he's rigging up the thing, and it also felt like a bit like Family of Blood, Human Nature. That episode where the Doctor's kind of fixing things in the background and doing stuff, and he's acting the fool a little bit. And he's sort of fixing things. Not that Shooty was doing that exactly, but I got that vibe from him. When Kid turns around and Shooty just sat there with his feet up, and he's already wired up the delta wave thing, and I don't know. I felt like Shooty had a really good. I felt like last week's episode, The Story in the Engine, was a little bit of a springboard in terms of him finding his Doctor just a little bit more. Like up to that point, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said that he's been fairly samey throughout season 1, and then the first few episodes that we've seen in season 2. I would say that it's been a bit rinse and repeat with him.
Yeah.
But last week I did feel like he found something a little bit, which is a bit of a springboard. And then in this one, I don't know, like it's almost like his intensity levels had gone up a little bit. Because he's one of these guys clearly that has just got buckets of energy. You can tell that he just radiates. He's just completely bonkers at times. But the intensity part of it, when he's tried to do that before, I didn't really buy into it. But the bits where, not necessarily talking about the scene we referenced earlier, but just in general, when he's gone a bit sort of straighter and he's talking more seriously, I felt like there was just a bit more intensity there. So I thought this is the best one for Shooty for me in a while. Yeah.
I think I see what you're getting at, because when he was working with whatever the guy's name, one of the couple, and he's like, can you do this, can you do that, I like it when the Doctor's solving the problem and stuff like that. So I kind of get where you're coming from with that, mate. We've
referenced Gary and Mike You know, the the kind of saviours of the day. I honestly thought they were going to get killed at the end by the Rani. I thought, oh no.
Oh yeah.
I thought, yeah, she's going to sort of, you know, mark her appearance by murdering a couple of people. But thankfully, you know, she just had a bit of the hump and walked off with Mrs. Flood in tow. But
that was a fun scene, wasn't it? When it's a bit weird having it as a mid-credit, wasn't it? But it was fun when they unfroze Mrs. Flood and she comes out all doddery and oh god no and all this. I did think that was fun. Did love that.
Oh god, yeah, that was pretty cool. So Gary and Mike, I know you weren't too keen on those guys, but I felt like they provided a bit of bants and a bit of humour that was needed.
Yeah, well, one of them did. The guy who was doing all the computer stuff. You're right. He did provide a bit of humour to the episode, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one character that I wasn't quite drawn to, and it was the guy that was Cora's assistant. I think the character's name was Len. The black guy who was in the red suit that was in tow with Cora. When he finds out that she's Hellion, he switches on her.
Oh, him. Yeah, I couldn't think who you meant. Yeah.
Really quick. Like almost like this, like real kind of, like his eyes just told a story of like, I don't want to be around you anymore. Now I know exactly who you are and where you're from. You know, I don't want anything to do with you. And his face turned from like being this sort of fairly happy, optimistic guy to, yeah, just being a real beep. So I know his character is meant to be that way. You want to kind of, I know he has a bit of redemption at the end, you know, when she sings the song, he tears up a bit and he claps and you think, okay.
The old slow clap, yeah. The
old slow clap, yeah. He's kind of seen, you know, the fog's lifted a little bit. Now he's had a moment to think and he's heard the song and stuff. So it wasn't, he comes around a bit, I guess, in the end. But yeah, I know the character's written to be disliked because of that switch. But yeah, I just didn't, it wasn't taken with that guy.
No, I'd actually forgotten all about him, in all honesty. It took me a minute to work out who you were talking about. That scene as well where she exposes she's cut off the whatever they are was quite cool. Again, I didn't see that coming. Kind of made me more invested in the characters, if you know what I mean. Up until that point, to think, they've actually had to disguise who they are and all that sort of stuff. So gave them a bit more meat on the bones in terms of characterisation. Mate, what did you think of Ryland? Because we haven't mentioned him. What do you think of old Sparkly Teeth himself? Old Ryland, yeah. I thought he was good because you know exactly what you're going to get with Ryland. You know, it's a bit like... It was very similar to Graham Norton in this episode. With those kind of characters and those sorts of people, you know exactly what you are getting with. You know, you don't hire Ryland for him to be anything other than Ryland, if that makes sense. So yeah, he was really cool and just played that part exactly as you would expect him to, which was really good. Yeah, I feel the same, mate. I just thought he absolutely suited the episode. You know, he knew what you know, he knew, he got the brief. He's just playing himself, you know. And he did it well. You know, like when he made the joke about something about a bit like my career going down the pan and all this sort of stuff, and you know, he didn't take it too seriously. He just he just added a bit of lightness to the episode, and I think it worked well. And the same with Graham Norton, mate. I loved the hologram scene because I like Graham Norton. I think when he turned when he sort of turned serious, he's like, and then the poor old Earth burnt to death on May the 21st. You know, I could almost see Graham loving doing that. You know what I mean? So I thought both of them were pretty fun in this episode in their own ways. That's interesting, isn't it, about him, Graham Norton, saying the Earth has been destroyed on that date, you know, leading back to, although we already knew that, it was quite a kind of a cool way to bring it into the episode of him revealing it as a hologram. Mm-hmm. Well, quite how cool. He would know that, if quite how they would bring him back, because he would have been destroyed as well. I know it's a hologram, but not quite sure how that works. But that was, I thought both of them were pretty good in this for, you know, what they had to do in the story. Yeah, they were good. And that was a cool downturn as well, because at that point it was kind of the cliched happy ending to everything. Everybody's saved. The chorus sung her song, and she's, you know, sang it for her people. I think that was one of the criticisms from Wynne early on, was that
she left Hellier and she's done nothing to help. She's just ignored her own people and gone off and done stuff. So she, sung that for. She tells everybody where she's from and sings that song, and it's the happy ending. And then when Graham Norton, very anticlimactically basically says, and then the earth burned.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in his typical way, he says stuff like that. Yeah, yeah,
and then they're back to the TARDIS, and it's all hell's about to break loose, seemingly. So, yeah, that was a cool sort of twist at the. Oh, why do I say that?
Because this is what they want is stuck in your head.
Fallen foul of RTDs, yeah. Whimsical.
You'll be saying Mavity in every sentence next.
Yeah, but it was a cool ending. And actually, talking of Rani, just very quickly, there's a behind-the-scenes photo of him. They gave him a quick tour of the TARDIS set when they filmed it. And you can just see him like a little kid. Just like a little kid, like in awe at the size of the set and how great it is. So, yeah, like those peeps in it.
Has the Doctor finally, this device that he's been carrying around to get Belinda back, which I finally worked out what it reminds me of. It reminds me of my old washing line that I used to fold up and put out in the garden. Is that thing finally clicked and done its thing now? The
Vindicator, I believe so. Yeah,
right, good.
I believe so, because the Doctor's quite confident that now that thing has done all of its readings and everything and calibrated with the TARDIS, it's ready to guide them home. To May 24th.
Which
is
actually
24th?
Think so.
Yeah,
which actually, because we got the post-credit scene, which is kind of overshadowed, really, what was quite a OMG ending to the episode, which was the TARDIS doors exploding. Well, the TARDIS exploding, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, yeah, that's what I mean. Everyone's kind of forgotten about it. I'd forgotten about it until my friend texted me yesterday and said, "Oh, what about the TARDIS exploding at the end?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that because of the whole Rani thing, that kind of came straight after it." But yeah, what's happened to the TARDIS, mate? Is it reminded me of the Mind Robber where the doors blew off and it exploded?
Yeah, it's not looking good.
No.
For the TARDIS, is it? Although it has been throwing up some warning signs, hasn't it, of late? It's been flashing this very deep red colour and alerting people that something's not quite right. And then, yeah, so I think the Vindicator, Mrs. Flood seems to know quite a lot about it because she's asked about it, hasn't she? And then when the Doctor does, because she's up in the audience somewhere with some binoculars and she sees the Doctor use it, doesn't she? And at that point she's like, right, gotcha. Like now we're ready to rock and roll. So she obviously knows what's going on, but
it feels like she's one step ahead of the Doctor every time, doesn't it? Which I quite like.
Yeah.
Feels like she's got a plan going on, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Right, we've spoken about most of the cast, I think already, mate. We've spoken about some story stuff. As usual, mate, have you got anything on your notes?
Just a couple of things. We were told this was the most expensive episode of Doctor Who ever made. Did it feel like that to you? Because I noticed some of the sets were reused. That was what was the last Christmas special we had? The hotel one. That was that set redressed, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
With nothing wrong with it. I just sort of spotted it straight away. But yeah, it looked good as an episode, but it didn't look anything out of the order. I wasn't sat there thinking, oh my god, this is spectacular. Like, you can tell that they've really pumped the money into this. But I just wondered if you felt like it came across as the most expensive Doctor Who episode ever made. I'm not saying it didn't look good, by the way. I'm just saying it didn't. Yeah,
some of it did, but I wouldn't say all of it did.
No,
some of it does. There were the scenes. I think they spent a lot on the visual effects side of things for the arena of where they were. Was it Harmony Arena Space Station? Yeah. So all of that stuff I think did look really good, and a lot of that stuff with your typical sci-fi spacey stuff. That all looked really good and quite. I can imagine that would have cost a lot. Apparently, what they did was they filmed 100 extras and scanned them all in, and then made digital copies of all of those people.
Oh yeah,
and just duplicated the hell out of it in post production and made hundreds of thousands of people.
Sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it looked great as always. As you said, I think Doctor Who just looks great these days. But But yeah, you can tell a bit of money was thrown at this one in terms of visual effects. But I didn't notice the set though. It's a good shout. I didn't notice the set was a redo.
Someone might correct me, mate. I thought it looked like a redress of the Time Hotel or whatever it's called, but I could be wrong. It just looked like it to me. The only other thing I got on my notes, mate, is the music, but it's not Murray Gold I'm talking about this week. It's Bucks Fizz. I actually thought that was a really lovely idea to use, making your mind up. To use that song when they're coming out of the. It was when they were coming out of the freeze chamber.
They're rescuing everyone, aren't they?
Yeah. I just thought. That's so cool because it's a Eurovision thing. It's a fun pop track, and it absolutely suited that scene of everyone's, everybody lives sort of thing. So I just thought it was a really nice callback to Eurovision to hear that really cheesy 80s song that kind of needed that. I needed that to put a smile back on my face after the torture scene, to be honest. I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, no, it was cool, wasn't it? Yeah, agreed. And Murray's music, there was a bit where they brought back this kind of. And this gave me vibes of Matt Smith's era. In Matt Smith's era, where every time there was a bit of action kicking off, or they're running away from something, the "I Am the Doctor" used to kick in, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Which is what I used to love about Murray's music back in the day. These recurring, they kind of did this with Shooter. They brought his theme back, where he's out in space. He uses the confetti cannon. When he's building up to that bit, they played his classic kind of action scene theme, which was really cool. So I enjoyed that. And the rest of it wasn't too bad. I didn't suffer as much with this one with Murray's music of drowning out a lot of the scenes of vocals. A couple of places here and there, but I didn't feel like it was as bad as the last few episodes for me. I don't know about you, mate.
No, same. I can't really think of any memorable stuff this week, but it kind of it didn't drown out the dialogue, which I'm pleased about. So yes. Alrighty, I've got nothing else, dude. If you haven't got anything else, we'll head
all
good
to the scoreboard. I think it's me to go first, isn't it?
Go for it. 10 out of 10, is it?
I'm going to give this, mate, an 8.5.
My word.
Which is my highest score yet for a while. I think, mate.
Yes, it is. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, an 8.5 for me, mate. It's. I feel like this is weird. I feel like me giving that score is weird at the moment, but I just really liked it. It landed with me, this one. It hit all the beats, well, most of them. I enjoyed it. What about you?
I didn't love it and I didn't hate it, so I'm going to have to sit on the fence and I'm going to have to give it a 5. I'm going to have to go right down the middle.
A 5?
Because, it just was okay. I don't know. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. Yeah.
Down the middle.
Definitely.
Gotcha. Okay, so, wow, dude. Who would have thought, the episode centred around Eurovision. I'd be up there with somebody who can't stand the bloody thing in real life, and you're at a 5.
We must be in a parallel universe, mate. I'm convinced now.
It must be, yeah. Crikey. Alrighty, well, on that bombshell, it seems. Let's end it there, mate, for episode 425.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much for coming back and listening to another episode of the Big Blue Box podcast. That was 425, and our review of the Intergalactic Song Contest from season
Interstellar.
2. And that was a remarkable 8.5 from me and a middle of the road on the fence 5 from him. We'll be back next week, of course, with our review of the next episode. Is it a 2-part finale or is it just a 1-part? And this is a usual
2-part, I think.
2-part, yeah. So Wish World next week. We'll be back to review that. So stick around and tune in for our thoughts on that one. You can do that, of course, by making sure you are following or subscribing to us in all of the popular podcast apps. There's a link on the website, which is bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk, or just do a search for the Big Blue Box. You'll find us there. We'd love to have you as a follower on those apps. And we've got some really cool comments and stuff through Spotify recently, but I know there's some other apps that do this, like Apple Podcast and over at podchaser.com. If you've got a minute to leave us a rating and a review, that'd be awesome. If you want to drop a comment as well, you can do that. You can also chat with us over on the socials. There are links on the website, or again, just do a search at Big Blue Box. We're on all of them. Just give us a like and a follow, and we chat Doctor Who throughout the week. And we also have a very cool free Discord server. Link on the website. Hop in there and chat Doctor Who with other Who fans. Also, don't forget to remember to check out my co-host channel on YouTube. It's, of course, The Geek's Handbag.
The Geek's Handbag, yeah. Just uploaded a new video where I go shopping for some toys here in Texas, so go and check that out. Also on the socials, under the same name, The Geek's Handbag.
Indeedy. And on that note, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...